Comic Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week.
Hello.
I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. And I'll be your host. That's on the bottom. I got to switch this around because this is killing me. Dan, can you do that? Or there we go. Awesome. Thank you. I feel so much better now. And of course, to my left side here is the Ric Flair Comics coming to you live from the Library Comics. And also down below is Dan the Man Kelly. How you guys doing tonight?
Going good. Anytime we hang with you is good.
Yeah, everything's going good.
Wearing your Caps shirt and they got a big lead.
Yeah. I feel like the Penguins are just tanking to get a better draft position.
Oh, is there a lottery in the NHL?
Yeah, there is. There's a lottery in the NHL.
Yeah, because baseball finally adopted one now too.
Yeah, right. But the lottery is always rigged to go to a Canadian team. Always.
Yeah, well, there you go. The
NFL, I think they win the cup.
Yeah.
The NFL doesn't have that yet, thank goodness, because
yeah.
I was happy to get that second pick. That's going to be a big night. That's going to be a heck of a draft night on October the 20. I think it's the 24th.
Oh, 25th.
It's a Thursday night. So by the time we come on for whatever comic character of the day, character we have, we should know by that point because the draft will start at 8.
Oh gosh,
it's the 25th because that's the
25th.
Thursday.
Yeah, it's 25th then. So we'll know who Washington has picked.
Nice
by then,
unless they trade down.
I hope not.
They're not going to trade down.
Don't trade up. Don't trade down. Take either Jaden Daniels or May, whoever's there, whoever you think is the better one. Just grab and let's go. And let's get this stuff going. But no trading up, no trading down.
Yep. NHL set their trade deadline on the 8th.
There's already all the people out there that have already started on the, Caleb Williams is going to be a bust, shouldn't be the first overall pick, blah, blah, blah. I don't really watch enough of college football to
listen. It's beyond me. It's hard to figure out because the level of talent. Usually, I think whoever survives and does well in the SEC is pretty much a stud because so many great defensive players come out of the SEC. But which makes me think, Daniels is something. But we'll see. The Bears are in a heck of a predicament because if they don't get it right, they're going to be criticized so harshly.
Well, apparently, like Caleb Williams' dad has been going around talking to the teams at the tops, asking if Caleb Williams can get an ownership stake in whatever team drafts him. It's like, no, you can't because it's against the NFL rules. And also, trying to figure out if there's a way that he can get around the rookie salary, the slotted rookie salaries and do all that. I'm like, that's just like red flag after red flag. Like you're going to get another Ball family thing there.
Yeah, maybe so. Right. And that could be a case where you don't see the Bears take him because of that. But if they don't take him and he goes to another franchise and he's a superstar, then they got to live with that. So the Bears are in a tricky predicament. And then if they trade Fields and he takes off with somebody else, you got a problem, So the Bears, I guess it's good to be on top, but man, they got a lot of pressure on getting this right.
Yeah.
TJ says roll Tide.
Oh, does he?
Time.
Yes, he does. Roll Tide.
Well, I heard Saban did an interview, said one of the reasons he got out was because of the PILs.
Yeah. Well, he also said he didn't like how the team handled the championship loss, that they were like throwing helmets and doing this and that. And I don't know. That seems like a pretty flimsy reason to get out. Like,
well, he was, but he said the PIL was something that was, or evidently was on his mind too. So, you know what? If he's lost, he doesn't need to be there. He's done enough.
I saw that a report that ESPN wants him and Belichick to do a Manning cast type show for the games next year.
What's that? What do you mean by Manning cast?
The Manning cast, how Peyton Manning and Eli Manning.
Oh, Manning. Okay. I thought they were, okay.
You go to ESPN, the Ocho, or whichever one it is, and they'll like watch the game and comment on it and have guests on there that they want. Apparently, want Saban and Belichick to do the same type of thing.
The Manning cast is really interesting, and of course, they call every damn play as before it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can read everything. I mean, they're so damn smart. And Eli is sneaky funny too.
Yeah, Eli. Have you seen that one video he made when he was still playing for the Giants, where he like put the disguise on,
Yes.
and went to the college and pretended to be the like a walk on, and he's like, "Well, watch me sling this," and he's throwing the ball, and the other people trying out are like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And he's got like the fake handlebar mustache and all.
Have you seen? Have you seen the Saturday Night Live when Peyton hosted the United Way?
Yes.
And oh my God, where he's balling out the kids for dropping the balls, and he's throwing them out at them. He's throwing them at the kids 100 miles an hour, yelling at them. I think the tagline is, the United Way: spend time with your kids, so Peyton Manning doesn't.
That's funny.
That's funny. Now, so you have the controls too? I thought only the person that sent the link.
No, it's whoever's. I can sign in, like
Oh, okay.
With Tim the Terrible's codes, and you can have control too.
I have no control, so whatever. If this goes off the rails, don't blame me. Everybody out there.
Oh, we're blaming you. We're so blaming you.
I have no tech skills. I have nothing to do with this. I know nothing, like Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz. I think I got to create a ticker saying that you have no tech skills.
No tech skills.
Gary with no tech skills.
Right.
All right, guys. Are you ready to start this? Are we okay with the positions here? Are we okay with that? You guys okay with that? It's just the three of us tonight. All right. It's just the three of us tonight. So we can rock and roll anytime you guys are ready.
All right. It's a Codex three-way tonight.
Yeah, it's a Codex three-way.
All right.
Baby, love it. You pay extra for that in Vegas. Let me kill the ticker. There we go. Kill that ticker. There we are. And we can start off with some groovy bass tones.
Oh, we love those.
Yes. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week, where we take one character and do a deep dive in that character. We give you all the badass moments, what to read, badass covers, and everything that we like and don't like about this character. And tonight's character is none other than Cannonball himself.
Yep.
He's a member of the X-Men, the X-Force, and whatever. He's on like all the teams.
The Avengers.
He's probably on the Avengers too.
See, look how many X-Men are Avengers. See, that music went from groovy bass tones to hard charging music. You think that's what he's got in his ear flaps, and that's music to blast to?
Probably is. When I was choosing music, I try to choose music that's appropriate for the character. Like you saw Black Widow last week, it was kind of like a spy type of music. This time I was trying to do something like where he's blasted. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sal, your host for tonight. I am Sal, the Slab Guy. And when I'm not on the Codex Station, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner or under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. As always, with me are my usual partners in crime, minus one, of course. We're doing a threesome tonight. But to my left side here is the Ric Flair of comics, coming to you live from the Library of Comics, Uncle Gary. And of course, down below is Dan the Man Kelly, also the owner of Instagram and the road manager for this guy next to me. But Uncle Gary, why don't you tell everybody? Well, actually, you know what? No, Dan, why don't you tell everybody you can start with, and then you can introduce Gary.
Oh, are we doing this now? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing this now, baby.
I thought we were doing it at the beginning of the shows again. All right.
Well, we didn't do it in the pre-show, so we're doing it now. I've made that executive call.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I just posted something today, so go check it out. Give me a follow, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So
get it to 1,000. 1K for DK.
For DK.
That's right.
Big D across the finish line.
That's right. Help him get. That's right. 1K for DK.
Yeah, and like Sal said, the guy above me, he needs no introduction. We all know who he is. We all know what he's about. He's the Ric Flair of comics. He's how many books is it now? 60,000?
59,419 as of last count.
59,419, and every one of them is a Grail.
Exactly.
The Ric Flair comics, Uncle Gary.
It's because he touched them.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. I am a proud co-owner of Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come in and see us. You can see me every Wednesday getting my weekly fix, putting it right in there, getting it mainline. And I've told you before, comic books, reading comics builds muscle because you're lifting those books, you're turning them pages, then you're carrying a stack, then you're carrying a short box, then it's a long box, then you're stacking them one onto the other. Next thing you know, you are jacked from all those comic books that you've been lifting. Do some push-ups too. All right.
Never hurts.
So,
never hurts.
Never hurts. At Comic Logic, we do a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. Today we did our first Thursday. We do our preview show, and then second and third Thursday we do our Ye Grumpy Old Nerds show, where myself, my best friend Mike Harbour, and our principal owner Rob Kalin, we talk comics, we talk pop culture, we talk movies, TVs, sports, anything else that interests us old geezers. So please come see that. And then let's also, I want to say we have a couple really great events coming up on April 20th. We have our spring, or actually it's our anniversary show, our 9th anniversary show. Then on May the 4th, we have not only is it Star Wars Day, but it's Free Comic Book Day. And on that day, we have an appearance, a signing by Mr. Brendan Wayne, who will be here at Comic Logic. And he is the fellow that does the acting in The Mandalorian, for The Mandalorian when the helmet is on. Not the stunt work, but everything else that when the helmet is on, Mr. Brendan Wayne is doing the acting. He's also John Wayne's grandson, which means a lot to me because that's royalty there, John Wayne's grandson. So I can't wait.
Sir.
And he will be signing comics. He'll be signing photos. He'll sign shirts, might sign bare flesh. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. So please come out and see that. And then also on May 19th, it's a Sunday, we have our Spring Lot Con, which is a mini Comic Con in the Comic Logic parking lot. So please come see us there. Sal and Dan have been there for that. It's a lot of fun, family friendly.
It is.
So please come do that. Also, in this space, we also love to give some love to our good buddy, Archduke Kevy, who was one of the big reasons that we are all together because he founded the Comic Character of the Day site. And on this site, we all became acquainted. I post the cover of the day, and Kevy does the character of the day, which was Captain Comet. Dan does a panel of the day, a question of the day. And Sal is a frequent contributor, liking things, disliking things, and making sure that we are giving you the quality product that you deserve. So big thanks to Archduke Kevy for that. And that rounds me out. And back to our main man, the man in the Capitol sweater, the man that was watching.
6-0 now.
Up 6-0. Who got that goal?
Sonny Milano got that last goal.
Sonny with quite the hair. Oh man,
I know.
He's got a hell of a salad under that bucket, right?
That's true. That is so true. So true. But here at the Codex Station, Gary, what do we got, and what do we want to give to everybody?
Oh man, at the Codex Station, all the hosts here, we have all the socials, and we would love to give them to you.
There you go. Speaking of the Codex Station, head over to the codexstation.com. Check out the site, get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. It's a fabulously designed website by someone special. We're not sure, but it's
his name's Sal something. Sal something.
But you can also see what we like and what don't like. We got some bios on there. You can read all about it, see what shows we're on. So go over to the Codex Station and check it out. All right, now that this is out of the way, gentlemen, we are covering Cannonball. So Dan, go ahead and give us the info on this guy.
All right, well, Cannonball first made his appearance in 1993 by the Breeders. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's the song Cannonball.
He caught Codex once, and he hasn't gotten rid of it yet.
That's my buddy. That's my buddy Chris, and he hasn't gotten rid of it. It's chronic.
All right, so Cannonball first appeared in Marvel graphic novel number 4. Right behind me. Oh, yeah, he's got it too.
He's got it too.
He's got a nicer copy than me. Marvel graphic novel number 4 in September 1982, created by Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod. And if you want to find out more about it, go check out the interview I did with Bob McLeod on the Codex.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Our YouTube
Definitely
page.
Do that.
A great interview where he talks about it. But
Cannonball, I think Cannonball was his favorite New Mutant too.
Yeah, he said he liked drawing him because he was lanky and had big ears.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
Cannonball is Sam Guthrie, who comes from a large, poor family in Cumberland, Kentucky. His father died when he was young. He was a coal miner, so to help out the family, Sam took a job in the same coal mine where his father worked. One day he was trapped with another miner in a collapse there, and his mutant powers manifested themselves, and he blasted him and the other miner out of the collapsed mine, freeing them both. He was then recruited by Donald Pierce to work for the Hellfire Club in order to attack the New Mutants who had just formed, had just been put together by Professor X. After they were defeated, Pierce ordered him to kill them. He didn't, was kind of leery about Pierce, didn't think that was right, so he rebelled, helped them defeat Pierce. Professor X asked him to join the team, and, as they say, the rest is history. As far as his powers go, he has the ability to generate a blast field around him that makes him nearly invulnerable and gives him the ability to fly through the air like a rocket. He can also use that blast field to surround himself and the others around him in a protective field, and he can use it to imprison someone if he wraps the blast field around them. He can also use it to absorb kinetic impacts to his energy that increase the impact of his blows when he hits someone, or it'll create a shockwave when he runs into something. And he is also an external, which means that he is immortal.
Yep. Very good. Awesome stuff there. All right. So before we jump in, we got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, which is W Energy. So head on over to w.gg, use the code -X, and save 10% on this good, clean energy drink. There's no jitters. There's no bad aftertaste. There's no sugar crash afterwards. It's a good, clean energy drink, and we think you should check it out. Head on over to w.gg, use the code -X, and save 10%. All right, now on to the nitty-gritty. We're going to start off with scenarios that work best. And Uncle Gary, why don't you go ahead, since this is your character of the week, why don't you kick us off?
With scenarios where he works best?
Scenarios where
he works best as a leader. He works best as a field leader of a group of mutants. This is a character that, it seemed like he was on a real upward arc, and then they were going to use this character in a big leadership position. And I think Marvel has faltered with this lately. But keep in mind, this character, he was taught by Xavier. Then he was taught by Magneto. Then he was taught by Cable. Then he was on an X-Men team with Cyclops as a leader, an X-Men team with Storm as a leader, and recently an Avengers team with Cap as a leader. I don't know what other character is more seasoned and more ready to lead his own team on a permanent basis. Now, he led X-Force himself for a long time after Cable had left, so he's got that leadership. Ability there too. Yeah, well, there you
TJ, throw
go.
it in the Hulk way.
Canada, Kentucky, and all happened the next. Very good, TJ. You are an expert on all things Hulk 180. I bow to you, sir. That was well done. That was well done. So when he is a leader leading his team and people looking for him in the Age of X miniseries, that was set in like an alternate future, he was Magneto was the general and Sam was the field leader, giving orders to all the other mutants on how to operate in the field. So this guy, and he's somebody they all look up to, and he's got a hope and a goodness about him. He does the right thing. He's got a great heart. He's got that big family that he was taking responsibility for by digging coal, which is, God, what a tough job that is. But he took that responsibility on as the eldest. I think he's not just a vital cog in a team. He is the leader that they look up to and that they rally to. And he's level-headed, but he's also forceful when he needs to. And I just think that is where he belongs. He belongs in a leadership position, leading a team of mutants, and that is how he's best used.
All right, Dan, how about you?
I kind of agree. He's a character that if you read him when New Mutants started, he was, very unsure of himself, didn't really have control over his powers for a long time.
Yep.
And at times was the de facto leader of the New Mutants. At other times it was, it was
Moonstar.
It was Moonstar. It was Danny. But, it was, him at times too. But he was always, shy, unsure of himself of this. And then you see him, as he grew.
Cliff, he's my favorite. He's my second favorite Marvel character after Wonder Man. So I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah, and he's
when he got confidence? I can tell you when he got confidence, Dan.
Oh, when
he got laid by Lila Cheney.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, don't forget, if you look at the cover to New Mutants Annual #1, that's him there. That's in like the bondage type gear.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, he's someone that was very unsure of himself and shy and soft-spoken, and you saw the character growth that he had over the years where he grew into, a leadership role. And then, he met Smasher on the Avengers, and, even though, Sunspot.
And he smashed her and gave her a baby.
Yeah, Sunspot was pursuing her, but she didn't go for Sunspot. She went for Cannonball, and they got married and they had a kid together. And now he's, he comes from that large family in Kentucky where he's got, where he's got, the brothers and sisters are all mutants, and now he's starting to have his own family too. And yeah, he's been, in the New Mutants and X-Force and the X-Men and the Avengers. And
yes, he did. Yes, he did, Chris. And we got the baby because he was cannonballs deep.
Oh, God.
But I agree that he works. He works best, in a leadership role, which they don't seem to use him in much anymore. But we'll get into more stuff with that later. I also like the friendship he has with Sunspot.
Yes.
Because when the New Mutants started, the two of them did not get along at all. They were as opposite could be, and you saw their friendship grow over the years through New Mutants, and then into X-Force, and to the point where, if they were used correctly, they could be one of the best buddy tandems in comics, but they don't. Yep. But every time they use the two of them together, like, it's great stuff. And I always like seeing the interactions between the two of them, because as Sam has grown to be more confident, as he's gotten older, Sunspot has grown to be less arrogant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Another character that's had a lot of character growth over the years too.
Mm-hmm.
But the two of them, I always thought, worked really well together.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What about you, Sal?
Well, I was going to say I got to pair both of you guys on this one, because I think he is meant to be a leader. He is a good leader, and he works best as a leader. And I think you forgot one, Gary. I think he was also trained under White Queen as a Hellion.
That's right. He was.
Yes, that's right. Very good.
So he was a Hellion as
Good
well.
point.
So he's gotten these just training from all different perspectives. You've got Professor X, who's a lead by anonymity, protecting everybody type of thing. You got the White Queen at the time that was leading the Hellions was not that type of person, but still led a team. Then you've got Magneto, who was trying to follow Xavier, but not 100%. And then you got Cable, who's also now a soldier from the future.
Yeah.
So that's a broad range of leadership roles that was like trained or passed down to him. And so yeah, working as a leader with a big team is very much his wheelhouse. And Dan, I agree with you about the friendship with Sunspot, and that it almost reminds me of Beast and Wonder Woman without too much comedy,
Right.
But it reminds me of that type of bond, because that type of bond is very hard to break when it gets to that level. And I think that's where he is with Sunspot. He says he's very much bonded with them. They could almost be brothers.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yes.
You gotta refer to there's one scene in X-Force when Sunspot was captured and he was being basically experimented on and all this, and X-Force frees him, and Cannonball gets him, and Sunspot's got all this energy, he's getting ready to blow, and he's flying up, and Sunspot says, oh, you got to drop me, and he goes, no, I got to get you away from from civilians. He's like, well, just go through me. He's like, no, I'm with you. It's like, you're my brother, I'm with you, and kind of refers to him as that.
When Sam was lost in the war the Avengers had in deep space, Sunspot's the one that put together a team to go search for him.
Right.
He wouldn't accept that Sam was dead, and he was right. And they found him. So they go to the ends for one another, which is fantastic.
Right. Absolutely. And I love that. And I love that I guess that dualship or whatever, we're going to call it, that friendship. It just shows depth and meaning to a character. It really does. So that's awesome for you guys. Let's jump now to badass moments. I'll kick this one off. I have two pretty much badass moments, only because life has gotten in the way for me lately, and I haven't had time to read much. But I have read. These are my two badass moments, and some of you guys are going to go into more depth on this one because I know this is on your badass moments.
There's one that's got to be on every list.
Yeah.
This is where he shakes off Gladiator's most powerful hit. He just shakes it off, and he actually hits Gladiator to the point where Gladiator is like felt it and was like confused and like, wait a minute, I just got hit. That type of situation. Like, oh my gosh, there's someone that actually can hit me and I can feel it. This guy's dangerous.
And keep it in mind that Gladiator is Marvel's Superman.
Right.
John Byrne created him because he always wanted to do Superman. This was before he came over to DC, and Gladiator was his version of Superman.
Right. And I believe this came in X-Men 341.
Yes.
Because I have that also written down up there. So, that's going to be there. It is. That's an awesome cover too. You're going to see that later as well, I think. So, all right. Cool. So for my next badass moment, and it's not really anything physically powerful, but it's mentally powerful. This is where he's standing up to Xavier about the dream. And he's going through this thing, and he goes through all, like I was saying, about all the leadership that's been training him or have trained him. And he's like, do we want to come at the people with an open hand or a closed fist? And this is how we have to decide what we're going to do. Are we going to greet the people and take them in, or are we going to have to stand and protect or even defeat the enemies? That type of situation. There's this long haul, drawn out panel, and it is amazing how he actually talks Xavier out of like controlling him, or not controlling him, but rather making him stand up for himself. Well,
controlling X-Force. It wasn't just Sam; it was the whole team. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because I think Xavier wanted to take over X-Force or something like that, and he's like, "No, that's not going to happen." And he went on with his whole spiel, and the whole open hand or closed fist idea was just amazing and powerful, in my opinion. Not physically powerful, but just intellectually powerful for me.
I agree.
That spoke volumes. So that's what I have for my two badass moments. Gary, what do you got?
Okay, so I have those absolutely too. I'm going to say, so number
Please
one
expand on them if you can. Yeah, please expand on them.
On everybody's list has got to be the Cannonball, the kicking Gladiator's ass. So Gladiator again is Marvel's Superman, but the difference is his powers are confidence based. So if his confidence is shattered, then his powers just diminish. They go out. So so Sam, you know, he wants to get in touch with the X-Men. Of course, they tussle, and he's tired of it. And he hits Sam with his most powerful blow, and Sam deflects it with his energy shield, and Gladiator's confidence just goes down.
Rot.
And God, what was the panel? He says something like, "Well, partner, is that your best shot?"
Yeah.
That. Was that your best shot? And Gladiator's face dropped, and then bam, Sam used that kinetic force and threw it right back at him and knocked him out.
Yeah.
And
that's what he said. It says, you know, he hits him with it, and then you just see the question mark, exclamation point, word bubble from Gladiator, and then Cannonball standing there says, "So tell me, partner, was that your best shot?" Gladiator goes, but that was my most powerful blow. And you live? That's not possible. He says, "We got a saying around these parts, sir. Impossible is a matter of perspective."
Yeah. There you go.
Right. But check out the way he's drawn in that right there where Sam's drawn.
Yes.
That's a powerful image right there.
That was a badass image. And what was really great. So he knocks, he lays Gladiator out.
Yeah.
And then what was really cool was Gambit saw this. You know, because the other X-Men were in the vicinity and got there. And Gambit said, "My favorite part was when you made him doubt it, and then you made him you hesitated, made him doubt it even more, and then you delivered the coup de grace."
Yep.
So,
and it shows Cannonball smarts too, because it wasn't, you know, because he is having the thoughts to himself as he's fighting. He's like, I remember from the files, like, so he studied the X-Men files, so he knows. You know, not
as a good leader should.
And Snoop or Chris there is absolutely right. Gladiator is made to be a jobber sometimes. Absolutely. You know, his overconfidence is his biggest flaw. That's for sure. So that is my number one badass moment. Number two, now we're going to get into some Uncle Gary's story time, because the
get the popcorn, ladies and gentlemen.
It is also this issue right here.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to. Yep.
So X-Force has been pretty much under house arrest at the X Mansion. By
after Executioner's song.
Yeah, right. So there are house arrests. Sam was the only one that was allowed to go into the field and help defeat, you know, the bad guys in this. And why X-Force, the rest of X-Force was pretty much confined to the mansion. So Sam is going to confront Xavier, and this is before the open hand part. This is a preamble to it. He goes, "Not to sound disrespectful by being blunt, but we've been comfortable prisoners for almost 3 weeks now, and we need to know what's going to be done with us." And Storm jumps in and has a few things. And she says, again, not to be disrespectful, Storm, but so what? You know, what we did, that's any more or less legal than any of you have been doing. Breaking and entering, come on. Assault, self-defense, battery seems to come with the territory. How many ins and outs can we all take? And Xavier says, "Well, that's simply not the law, Samuel." Chris, that is not true. I don't make you sit on my lap. You want to sit on my lap. Don't confuse
because he's the Ric Flair.
That's right. That's right. So Xavier says it's all about morals and ethics, about the right ways and the wrong ones. It's about your dream, ain't it, Professor? It's about whether you're going to use the open hand or the closed fist. And Xavier says, maybe that's what this is all about then. He goes, "Well, what do you want from us, sir? You took us in. You set us on this road. And then you left the wheel in someone else's hand. Magneto's, for crying out loud. And then he drives us this way and that, and finally abandons us on the side of the road. And now comes a new driver, comes along, maybe not the safest driver around, but he got us back on the road again, just not the same road. But we felt we were headed in the right direction. And now Cable's dead. But guess what, Professor? We learned to drive the car by ourselves."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the scene I was talking about.
Yeah. So well, right now that's the part of it. And then later on, we get into the scene, and the rest of X-Force wants to know what they're going to do. And Sam says, "Well, I'm heading back to the mansion, and we'll tell the professor." And Sunspot is like, "We'll tell the professor." And he goes, and Sam says, Sam gathers something outside. And then Xavier says, "You realize what a difficult position this puts me in." He goes, "We do, sir, and we're sorry, but it's time for us to leave." And he's got all the X-Force, in that great panel there.
Right behind him.
All dudded up, saying
with all their questionably redesigned costumes.
Yes, that's right, but it's still fun. And Xavier says, "It's not that simple, Sam." He goes, "Well, we haven't been charged with anything. And you and I both know the government, is not going to make the case stick." And he said, "Your dreams are simplistic. And so is Magneto's separation theories, or Cable's get them before they get you attitude. Nothing's as simple as y'all want to make it. We've already learned that much. Now, the next step is seeing what we do with what you taught us." And Xavier says, "The open hand or the closed fist." And Sam says, "Funny you should bring that up, sir." And this is what's just a great, great writing. I think it was Scott LaBelle, or no, Fabian.
Fabian
Who wrote this. And he puts his fist right out to Xavier's face. And he says, "Here's my closed fist, Professor. It can be used the way Cable taught us, to hit, to pound, ways you say you don't agree with, right? But it can also be used to warm, to support, to protect." And he opens his closed fist, and there's a little mouse in it. And he said, "But it can also be used to protect, as a peaceful approach of the open hand. Well, that can be used to hurt." And he swings his hand at Xavier, and Xavier blocks it. But he was showing that open hand can hurt just as much as a closed fist can hurt. Yeah. And Xavier says, "Your point is made, Sam." And he lets them go. He says, "You're free to decide your own destiny. The world is changing, and you must take the path your conscience dictates." And that is as badass as it gets. I mean, this was Sam was a kid when Xavier took him in. He was a new mutant, and he grew from that gawky kid that was so unsure of himself to this leader of a team, and they all have his back. At one point, he said, "If I go in there with Xavier, you're all going with me." And Thunderbird puts his arm around him and says, "Every painful step of the way," that they were going to be with. I think he called him Mason Dixon was his nickname for him.
Yeah, Mason Dixon. Yeah, Dixon line.
Every painful step of the way, I'm going to be there with you, and the whole team was. So that to stand up to who was the mentor. He's had all the others, but I've got to think Xavier was really the guy. That in his most formative time. But to stand up to him like that, and to have such a great argument that the closed fist can be used to protect, I thought that was badass. And it just involved, like you said, Sal, a philosophical debate. And to win your point against Xavier, not exactly the easiest debate partner in the world, right? So that was badass. My third badass moment is in the Counter X days, when Pete Wisdom had been a part of the team. Wisdom was kind of their advisor. Sam was still the field leader. So he also learned from Pete Wisdom, who was a spy master, how to get even more covert and things like that. Wisdom's taken off the board, presumably dead. Sam takes on Wisdom's identity and leads the team, pretending to be, the team knows this, but the outside world doesn't know Wisdom's gone. So Sam is able to use subterfuge and pretend he's Wisdom and lead the team. And they were they were kind of black ops, during that era. Yeah. So, I mean, for Sam to take on the double duty of leading the team and impersonating Pete Wisdom effectively, I thought that was pretty badass.
Absolutely. So
those
thank you for expanding on my point on the open hand, closed fist.
Well, I just think it was worth it. It was such a cool point. It's worth it. Yeah. Sometimes I appreciate y'all letting me go into story time. And again, it's about the source material, right? Their words these words deserve to be repeated. They're so good.
Absolutely. All right, Dan. Save the best for last. What you got?
I mean, I got the Gladiator one. I think we've covered that pretty much well enough.
Yep.
I mean, when you come to Cannonball, that's got to be the one, because I got to say too that as I was reading all this old stuff, I was like, they don't give him a lot of time to shine for those epic moments for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, the Gladiator one is clearly tops. The other ones are kind of smaller. One of them is from Avengers Volume 5, Issue 2, which I also have to say as a side note is a travesty that Marvel has. What are they on, like Volume 8 of Avengers? A travesty.
Yeah.
It's a flagship book. Anyways, Cannonball and Sunspot are sitting on a beach chilling out, talking about like, yeah, we're retired. No more X-Men stuff. No more drama. We just got to sit here and chill. Sam gets a phone call. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. And he hangs up and he looks at Sunspot. He's like, you won't believe who it was just called me. He goes, who? He's like, well, first it was Wolverine. And Sunspot goes, tell him we're retired. We're not, we're not coming back to the X-Men. We're not superheroes anymore. We're not dealing with the superhero stuff anymore. We're not dealing with the drama. We're retired. It's time to kick back. He's like, but then he handed the phone to someone else. And it was Captain America. Captain America wants us to come be Avengers. And Sunspot goes, all right, well, let's go. I thought you said we were retired. He's like, dude, it's Captain America.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that Captain America personally called him and said, hey, I want you to come join the Avengers. Unfortunately, in that volume, he might as well have not been there because they didn't really do much of anything with him. But it was still cool when Captain America calls you and personally and says, hey, I want you to come be an Avenger.
Yeah.
Hey, you're on the roster. That's
yeah.
You're playing for that team.
Everything.
Yeah, yep. Exactly.
And I mean, he did eventually meet his wife there.
Yep, and smashed her.
Yep. And then the other one I got is, Gary here says sometimes you'll pick like the quieter.
Yep. Moments. I love it when you do this too.
So I've got one from Uncanny X-Men 503. He is out, goes out to a bar. It's him and Moonstar, and I forget who the third one is, but it's him and a couple of the other New Mutants. And they're just in this bar. They're going to have a drink, and they're talking about, their lives. And he's talking about, like how crazy, he's like, think about how crazy our lives were. We were kids and how we grown up in this and that. And they're talking about the superhero stuff. And the moment that I liked was the one where he says, he doesn't care about the big stuff anymore. He just doesn't want anyone else to die like his brother did. So he's saying, I don't care about the superhero stuff. I don't care about, all this grandiose saving the world. This, he's like, I'm just here so that I can, I'm just here to make sure that nobody else dies, because he's still feeling the hurt from when his brother died. So, I mean, that's badass there.
Yep.
So that he's not in it for glory, for anything like that. He's solely there just to save lives, because he knows he's gone through what it's been like to lose someone.
Oh, I agree. That is a great moment. I love that. And
powerful.
And plus, after, losing your dad at such an early age from black lung, and badass before his powers even manifested. Now, this bleeds over into real life. Anybody that goes down into the earth in those conditions and digs coal is a badass.
Yeah.
That is one of the hardest, most dangerous job on the planet. And if you do survive, not many of those guys live very long to collect their pensions because the black lung gets them. So those guys that do that, that's as badass as it gets, man.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our next segment, and this is going to be critiques of the character, what we don't like. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on that?
For a character that I really like, and I know we all really like him, I've actually got a lot of them on here, and it's not because of problems with.
Thank you, TJ.
It's because of the way Marvel has handled him.
Yeah.
I don't like how they dropped the aspect of him being an external. I mean, that's a really cool thing. He was in the issue of X-Force. It was I forget the exact issue. I want to say issue 8 or 9.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
He gets it's because it happens at the end of one issue, and then like the whole next issue is this Cable flashback scene, and then the next issue after that they deal with the aftermath. But he gets impaled by Sauron, and Cable's like, "Come on, wake up, like you're supposed to be an external." And then he, dying is supposed to be the beginning of living for you. And he wakes up, and then he tells him like, "Yeah, you were dead, heart stopped, everything." And that's when we learn that he's an external, which means he's in an immortal mutant. There are very few of these mutants are immortal. Apocalypse is another one, and that's something that they just completely dropped. And it wasn't even that they completely dropped it before the Age of Krakoa, where it's like, oh, we're gonna resurrect everyone. Like they just, since almost right after it was introduced, they just haven't really dealt with it at all. And like that's such a cool aspect of the character, and something that early on too he would kind of question. What is this life going to be for me? Like, I'm going to outlive everyone. And especially now that he's married and has a kid, you'd think this would be something that he would, that would really be heavy on his mind. Like, okay, I'm probably going to outlive my wife. Like, am I going to outlive my own kid? Is he going to be one too? Like, there's a lot of good story there that they could mine, and they've just, completely moved past it.
Yeah, I think they've let that just fall to the wayside. I mean, wasn't Gideon? Gideon was one too. They were trying to get Sam to
because Gideon thought that it was Sunspot, and that's why they had captured Sunspot and were like experimenting on him and all. Another thing, like we talked about for his leadership, at this point in his career, he should be a top tier leader.
Absolutely.
I kind of look at the X-Men like there's so many of them now, way too many, but there's so many of them. It should be Cyclops is like the 4-star general, and then he's got a couple leaders underneath of him that all have their own teams. Storm should have one, a couple others. Cannonball should be one of those leaders.
Absolutely.
And he's just, and he's not. He's, I guess he's kind of leading the New Mutants now. I mean, I haven't read him in a while.
He's in this Dead X-Men series, and there's 5 of them there, and there's no really clear leader, but they've all had moments a little bit to shine in that. There's only 2 issues in. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Danny should be leading his own damn team.
Yeah, and I mean, really, that goes for all the New Mutants. They at this point they should all graduate past New Mutants, past X-Force, full-fledged X-Men. Him as the leader, but they don't seem to want to do that with him. Like, or what? If he's gonna be with his wife in the Shi'ar Empire, have him be part of the Imperial Guard too.
Yeah.
There's no reason that he shouldn't be part of them. He already beat Gladiator's ass.
Put the smack down on him.
So yeah, those are my 2 main ones. And then there was another one that was just kind of a little gripe that they haven't done in a long time. But if you read him a lot in New Mutants and X-Force, he would always announce what his powers were, to the point that like other people would make fun of him. Like he's like, because when I'm in my blast shield, I'm nigh invulnerable to the. He starts to the point where he would start saying other characters would be like, yeah, we get it, you're nigh invulnerable.
Yeah,
like,
they did repeat that a lot.
Like, yeah, dude, you don't need to announce it all the time, but really, just the way he's just drastically underused. And like I said, Hickman put him on the Avengers team. I went through the first. I wasn't a huge fan of that run, but doing research for this, I went through the first 24 issues of it. He's barely in it. Like, he's in the background a couple times, and then there'll be 3-4 issues where he's not there at all, and then he's just kind of hanging out in the background. Like, you could have taken him out of that book, and it would have had no effect on it, because it's like he was just there so that they could be like, oh yeah, we threw some mutants on that weren't Avengers, and now they are. Like, it was a waste to have him in that book. When he was in U.S. Avengers later, that he actually did something there, but it was just a waste to have him on there, and it's a disservice to the character.
I agree. Yep. I totally agree. All right, Gary, what do you got?
Basically a lot of what Dan has is the underuse of this character. It is the underuse of this character, who should be a top tier leader in comics. There was the last Avengers story. Sam was a member of the Avengers in the future, right? Yeah. And he's a big time member there. in the U.S. Avengers series, when they thought he was dead, he was on, this alternate planet. He pretty much led a revolt and freed everybody there, and they started their little revolution against the people that were running the place. So Sam's got that innate leadership, and to not use it, I think, is criminal. And another cool thing about Sam is all these great leaders that he has. Sam's got backbone because he stood up to Xavier, he stood up to Cable, he stood up to Magneto. He has stood up to these, huge alpha males, right?
Yeah.
And not back down at all. So Sam's got that grit in him that makes him a great leader. He stood up to Cyclops, in the Age of X. He was standing up to Cyclops. So it's just the underuse and not appreciating what they have here and what they have cultivated this guy to be. Where I don't know of any Marvel character that has a better resume to be a leader in the whole in all of Marvel Comics.
That's not already a leader.
That's not already a leader, right? That is not already a leader of a major team. There's nobody that has Sam Guthrie's leadership. And I always liked that this character a lot of times was depicted as as having faith. That he had faith in a higher power, and he had hope. There was just an inherent goodness in him, like Dan was saying about with his brother. He wants to be there and make sure nobody else dies like that. That's what motivates that character. But to me it's just a slight thing back in the beginning was maybe they would rely and make him a little too corn tone with the drawl and the southern this and that. But he was very clever when he was running X-Force. He was very clever. And there was when he was in the Counter X phase, he was going toe to toe with Fury, telling Nick Fury, standing his ground.
Yeah.
So this is a great character, and just the misuse and the underuse of him, I think, are just a terrible dereliction of duty to this character.
Yep. I got to agree with both of you. This is exactly how I feel. He's underappreciated and underused. You guys hit the nail on the head. I can't really give you any more information on that, but I totally agree. I have nothing against the character or any flaws with the actual character himself. He's grown as a character to now be a prominent leader, and they've done nothing with him. Well, now let's put it this way: they haven't used his full potential as being a leader.
Right.
So I feel like that I have to agree with you guys on that. All right. So let's jump on to our next segment, which is top covers. And we're going to go through and show us some top covers. Here we go. And how about you, Dan? Let's let you go first with your top covers. Woo! That's me. There's Dan. Let's see him, Dan. There you go.
The good ones.
All right, yeah. So on the end is the Marvel Team Up 149.
I almost used that cover.
There is, and this is another thing that talks, that goes to him kind of being underutilized. There are not a lot of covers out there that prominently feature Cannonball. He's on a lot of covers, especially for New Mutants and X-Force, but there's not a lot that prominently feature him as one of the main figures on it. And this was one that I thought was pretty cool. It's outside the normal stuff with him teaming up with Spider-Man. Excuse me. And if you read it, it's kind of a cool story too. He's going out, to go to this, a fancy store in the city so that he can buy this nice hat for his mom because, she wanted, and it's a pretty cool thing with that. And the thing I like about it also is you see where it has that logo that says Cannonball. To the best of my knowledge, this is the only time that logo has ever been used in Marvel Comics. I could not find any, because he's never had his own miniseries or anything. This is the only thing I've ever seen with a logo for him, and it was on this issue.
It almost looks like it's blasting too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's kind of disappointing that they didn't give him a miniseries or anything back then, just to put that logo on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
then
should.
the middle one is the X-Men 201, where it just looks, it looks badass with him blasting forward. Iceman behind him, kind of looking mean too. He's got the fist out like he's coming at you. He's going to do some damage. And then the one on the end there is New Mutants issue 1. This is the written by Tim's favorite writer Zeb Wells.
Oh, there you go.
But this was, I believe, volume 3. Yeah, this is issue 1 of volume 3.
Volume 3. Yep.
The awesome Alex Ross cover. But even though it is a team cover, because I think it's good because he's a character that does function well in a team as the leader. But I also like how he is the center of it and kind of blasting upwards, and the way that Ross painted the energy around him, I thought just looked super cool and really dynamic.
That is a great cover. The center one is Roberto Ramos, right?
I believe so. Yeah, it says Ramos on the cover.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then the Marvel team, and that's the second to last issue of Marvel Team Up, by the way. It ended at 150.
Because the one after it is the one with the X-Men.
Yes. And so who did that cover? Do you know offhand?
Hold on a second, and I will look inside the book.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't see this, but he's actually got the book. Pulling it out of the book. Pulling it out of the bag.
Well, the artist on the book is Brett Blevins, with Mike Esposito as the inker. And the art like I said, I can't tell because I don't see an artist signature on the cover.
It doesn't quite look like.
Isn't that
there's
KG
something
at the bottom?
Yeah. What is that underneath the
Spider logo?
Is that a CG?
Underneath the what?
Spider-Man head. Underneath the Spider-Man head, there's initials.
I don't see any on my copy.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right.
Well,
it could be part of the bridge work, though, Gary.
Maybe it is. Maybe that is. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it, and I don't see any kind of signature. Now, it could have been, signed where the where the UPC boxes are on, on the screen there, the Spider-Man, box. It could have been something where it was signed there and it just got covered up. But yeah, because I kind of tend to think it's not the. It does look different than the art that's inside the book. So
yeah, according to CLZ, it's Burt Blevins that did the penciling, and Mike Esposito did
the penciling on the interior one. So maybe he did the cover too. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't find a cover. I can't find a cover artist. But anyway, it's a cool cover. I like it.
It is. It is. All right, so why don't I go ahead and I'll show mine next. Here we go. Bam! Look at that. There's something
there you go.
There. I'll start with that New Mutants on the far right because classic. Alex Ross is just classic. It's amazing. Alex Ross, I swear to God, paints everything perfectly, and he's, like I said before, he's on my Mount Rushmore of artists. And
mine too.
Anything he puts out, I would buy in a heartbeat. Just good stuff all around. That middle book there is X-Men 341, excuse me. And the cover penciler was, I can't pronounce that last name, Maduria?
Oh, it's Joe Madura.
Madura. Okay.
One of the hot artists at the time.
Right. And the inker was Tim Towson, and the colorist was Steve Bellacciolo. Bellaccio. Okay. Anyhow, still awesome cover. Great face off between those two. And my last one, of course, is the New Mutants #1. The artist was Bob McLeod, I believe, on this one.
Yeah, it is.
It's I don't know. It's just it's classic. It's I don't know. It's just perfect for me. The way he's blasting there, and you get to see all the other characters coming in. Xavier's in the background, like barking out commands. But to me, Cannonball looks like he's in the lead as like the leader, leading the team in, into the battle. So That's why I like these ones.
Those are great covers, fun covers.
All right, Uncle Gary, you are up next, and
Mine are a little
here
different.
Yours. Yes, they are.
Mine are a little different.
Oh, all different.
Yep. So, and all the ones that y'all have shown were on my short list, but I mean, I had quite a few.
Yeah.
And there was one I didn't do. I think it was New Mutants like 42. That was a Barry Windsor Smith cover that broke my heart not to use, where he's holding Lila Cheney. Oh man, it was fantastic.
Yeah, Dan's got it holding up. Well, we'll show Dan after we do these covers.
Yeah. X-Force 44 is the first one there on the left. That's Adam Polina and Mark Farmer did that cover. And that is going to also be on my must-reads. So I just love that. That's, he's graduated. He's going to be an X-Man now, and he's leaving the team behind. And it was I just love the emotion in that. He's got his bag on his shoulder, and the journey's about to begin. And,
it's a homage to the time where Cyclops leaves the X-Men.
Yeah, it is. I think so. Mm-hmm. The one in the center is by Shane Davis, and it's Uncanny X-Men number 5, volume 5.
Cover. I love that cover.
It's by Shane Davis, and I love it. And look, he's just blown through the Sentinel's head. So he's blasted through the Sentinel's head, and now he's on his way to get another one, I'm assuming.
And that for me is the best costume, where he's got the flight helmet with the goggles. He's got the bomber jacket, and then the rest of the costume you can't really. It's just like a basic pair of gloves, just a normal kind of pair of pants and boots. But like he looks like he just looks like a like a pilot, like an airman. It's not some kind of elaborate costume, and I think that's the suit that best fits him. Not like the one which is kind of on the side where it's just like, I'm going to put a C on my chest.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. I like the costume in the center the best, but the one on the right, is X-Men 197 Volume 1, Chris Bachleo. I just think that's a really cool look with the kind of shadowy, and the smoke off him is like he's getting ready to blast or he's just stopped blasting.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's dissipating.
Yes. And I just think that is just a badass cover, half shadow, half not. And, I just love the silhouette of it with the smoke rising off of them.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. I love it. All right. So, Dan, let's see that book once more time here. We'll get this off there. There it is.
Yeah, that was a hard cut for me not to use that one. That's Barry Windsor Smith, and that is just really, really awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so this brings us to our next segment of top readings. And Uncle Gary, you're going to go ahead and kick us off first with that. And let's get that tile up there for you.
All right.
There you are.
All right, so my recommended X-Force 19 Volume 1. We have talked about this a lot. I read from it. This is where he stands up to Xavier, not just for himself, but for his whole team. And basically telling Xavier, this house arrest thing, this shit is over. We are out of here.
We're done. Yep.
Yeah. And they could have left. They could have just left, that's for sure. But to get Xavier to go along with it and give him, and
agree with him.
Agree, if this is what you want to do, then I'm not going to stand in your way. So they didn't just bust out of the joint. They walked out the front door. So
and he makes the point too during the journey. He's like, what have we done that the X-Men haven't done before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. X-Force 44. That was one of the cover I showed where he's leaving. And this is Cable has come back to the team now. Sam was leading the team. Cable has come back to the team. And Cable tells Sam he doesn't have a place for him anymore. And Sam is just crestfallen. He just doesn't understand after all he's done. And Cable tells him it's because you graduated. And there's a nice narrative about talking about his father in the big leagues. Either his father was a baseball player. I think his father was a baseball player and wanted to get the call up to the big leagues. And he got the call to the big leagues to go to be an X-Man. And that's what he was kind of, they were kind of making it a similar path like a ball player getting a call to go up to the major leagues. And that's what he was. He got to go to the X-Men, and it was bittersweet because he left his team behind, left his girlfriend behind, who at the time was Boom Boom. And I just thought it was a wonderful coming of age story where you've reached that other level in your life where you've achieved the upper echelon, the big time. And he was the first new mutant to graduate to the X-Men. And that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And then the last ones I have are part of the storyline that the first trade is called Counter X, and the whole all these issues are pretty much the Counter X part of this team, where it was a spy team, and it was, Pete Wisdom was their advisor, and it was just a lot of covert stuff, a lot of Black Ops stuff. And Rage War was the first trade, and the second trade was Counter X. But just really more militant than they had been before, and more of that Cable get them before they get you attitude. But Cable wasn't there. It was, like I said, Wisdom as an advisor, and they were getting into a lot of the spy stuff, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and it was an edgy look to it, too. It was written by, first let me say X-Force 44 was written by Jeff Loeb, and the art was by Adam Polina. And the X-Force 19 was written by Fabian, how you pronounce his last name?
Nasiza,
and Greg Cupolo was the artist on that. And then in this last bit of X-Force, 102 to 115, and right after that, 116 became the Mike Allred stuff with Dupe and all that I didn't like at all. And that's how X-Force ended. But 102 to 115, the first half of it was written by Warren Ellis and with Ian Edgerton, and then Edgerton took over the writing on the second half of this volume of work. And then Willis Portico and Jorge Lucas were the artists on this. So those are my recommended readings on the character. And there's a lot more that I really could have recommended, but it was tough to narrow it down because I really do love this character.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, Dan, let's see your recommended readings. And there's your tile. Bam.
All right, so I also had X-Force 19. We've talked about that a lot, so we'll just go past that one. In the middle, I have from the Astonishing Tales miniseries. Each issue had 2 or 3 different stories in it, and it was the story Mojo World that ran through the 6 issues that featured Cannonball and Sunspot, and is really, really funny. It's I think it was Hickman that wrote it, and it's like so unlike the other stuff that he wrote because it's a comedy, and it's reminded me a lot of kind of like something that Booster Gold or Blue Beetle would get into. So Sunspot invites Cannonball over to his place, and he's like, "Oh, check this out! Like I bought this, this mansion from this rich Hollywood producer, went bankrupt trying to make all these movies. So I've got all this production stuff and all this, and hey, let's start a production company. We'll make a movie." And then Mojo kidnaps him to the Mojo World, and he's telling him, like, "Look, we got a problem. Like, all my writers unionized and they quit, and it's something about me treating them like crap or whatever." He's like, "But I need writers. I need to pump out content because everyone in this world is addicted to stuff, and this content, my shows and movies, and I don't have anything to give them." And it's just a really funny book of them starting off negotiating with Mojo to do this, where they do it in the form of a game show, and whoever wins each episode of the game show gets to pick a term of the contract, and then they have to go make these movies, and they have to make 8 movies in a month, and all the movies are complete and total ripoffs of real movies. So there's like the ripoff of Glengarry Glen Ross and all these different ones, and it's really funny to see it, and it's a different it's a different kind of thing for the character, but still a fun read.
Awesome.
And then the last one is X-Men Hellbound, which was a 3-issue miniseries where Magic was captured and taken to Limbo, and it starts off with Colossus telling Cyclops, "I'm going to go get her," and he's like, "No, we need you here for this invasion that's coming." And Colossus like slams Cyclops into the wall. It's like, "I'm telling you, I'm going to." He's like, "You have to stay, but you weren't the first one to come to me. We've already got this." And Cannonball is leading a team into Limbo to save her, and he's the one that picks the team.
Yep.
He's the one that leads them, and it's him, and it's I'm trying to remember who all are. Gambit's one of the ones that he picks for the team. And it's a mix of younger mutants. Pixie is one of them, and he has to convince her to go, and Anoli is too, because, Magic had like taken a piece of her soul, and they had to convince her to go save her, and Dazzler's one of them. So he's leading like the younger ones, but he's leading like the veteran X-Men that have been around longer than him too. And it's just a pretty cool book to see him, taking charge of this team, going into Limbo, saving Magic, fighting off the effects that the other ones, are starting to have to corrupt some of the other ones like Gambit and them, and having to beat them and save Magic and get them all back. And it showed, it was really good about showing his leadership abilities for a team.
That was on my short list too. And he's the one that went to Cyclops and said he wanted this job.
Yeah.
That's his teammate. He wanted to get her.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good story. I'll have to check that one out. All right, so let's go ahead and check out mine. Bam! Look at that, X-Force 19 to get on the list. Look at that.
So good. So good.
It's almost like we all are telling people you should go read X-Force 19.
Yes.
So in summary, folks, go read X-Force 19. Okay.
I read you some of it, but you read it all. That's right.
There you go. So I'll go ahead and skip that one then. I got the New Mutants from their first volume, number 41 to 47. This has that classic cover that Uncle Gary was talking about earlier that Dan shows you, where he was holding, his wife in his arms like that. That's a classic story. You get a bunch of good short stories about all the characters with them in there as well. But this little run right here, it's been written by Chris Claremont, of course, master of writing, I think. And it's a good story all around. And I think you should start at 41, go to 47 for it. And now the last one I've got is Secret X-Men #1. This is actually a one-shot, and it's really cool because Sunspot and Cannonball co-captain this team that leads Morrow, Tempo, Forge, Banshee, Strong Guy, I think, and a few others like Armor, Boom Boom. But they go on a secret mission to save Empress Exandra, and it's a great one-shot. It's definitely something you got to pick up and read, because the fact that Sunspot and Cannonball are co-leading this team, this secret team, to do this mission is just amazing. So definitely check that one out. All right, so let's go ahead and pop that off of there. See if we can get back to us. There we are.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I could work the controls.
I like that we all had 19.
Yep. So I should tell you something, folks. If we all liked it, you got to check it out.
Yeah, so I'm looking at. I had forgotten about Secret X-Men. And there's a cool alternate cover with Sunspot.
Yep, and that made my cut list as well.
Yep.
I had to go with the #1. That it was going to be that one or the one I chose for #1, the units.
Yep. Good choice.
Wow. Well, folks, we only have 3 choices. We can only choose 3. That's it. That's the limit. Right there. All right. On to our next segment, which is going to be Best Writer and Artist. And now these are 2 guys that don't necessarily have to be on the book at the same time, but both of them represent that character best. So when you think of that character, that's the picture or writer that you go to. Uncle Gary, who do you got?
All right. So on Cannonball, some of my favorite stories are written by different people. So, like the X-Force 19 was written by Fabian. The X-Force 44 was written by Loeb. The Factor X stuff, or the Counter X stuff was written by Warren Ellis and Ian Edgington. They were good, but I think the guy that because so many different things I really like were written by different people, I think that puts me in a default mode, and I got to go with the creator of the character who wrote so many great stories with the character and molded him and brought him along the way. So I got to go with Chris Claremont on that.
You can't go wrong with that. You cannot go wrong with that.
Yep. So, but again, I love so many other stories, but so many different writers had pieces, but Claremont's breadth of work gets them that. And for artists, man, this was really tough too. But a series that we didn't even mention in this, I really liked when he was on Storm's team of Extreme X-Men. I really loved that series. I thought he had a good role on that series. He went I think that was a series where he went undercover in was it Graydon Creed's campaign?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he went undercover in that too, as you know.
I forgot about that story.
Yeah, as one of the workers in his campaign. So, but the art in that, a lot of it was done by Igor Corday and Salvador Larroca. So I really like that art style. So I'm gonna give it to them on that.
All right, Dan, you're next. What do you got?
Claremont's a good writer, but for me, I went with Fabian Nicieza just because, when he was writing him in X-Force, that's when Cannonball really became the character, or started becoming the character as we know him now. Because really at the end of New Mutants, after Louise Simonson left the book because she couldn't stand working with Rob Liefeld anymore, and Rob Liefeld was plotting the books, and Nicieza was at first really just like essentially just filling in the dialogue, and that's what it was when X-Force started too. To the point that, as a tangent, to the point that with X-Force, it would say in it X-Force created by Rob Liefeld, and there was one of the early issues where the box said, Rob Liefeld, plot, art, and then all of it after that it said, Rob's scripter, Fabian Nicieza, Rob's letterer, Rob's colorist, and I was like, God, could you get any more egotistical than that?
Yeah.
But, could you be any more of a narcissist? But whatever. He started off where he was essentially just scripting over what Liefeld was plotting. And then when Liefeld left the book, he just stayed on and took over as the writer. And I think the stories became a lot better after that. But that's where he really, developed Cannonball into how he is now. And he was the one that wrote that X-Force 19 that we all talked about too. And then for artists, I went with the X-Force artist, not Rob Liefeld, because doing research for this, I went back and was looking at all those old issues of X-Force. I was like, God, I forgot how terrible the art was in that, where he's drawing Cable's, legs to be like these massive, like 120-year-old redwood tree trunk size things, and but I went with Greg Capullo. His artwork was not spectacular when he started on the book. It was very early in his career, but you could see him grow as an artist throughout it. And then especially by the time, he was the artist on that issue 19, by the time he got to that and a bit after that, that's when he was really coming into his own as an artist. So, yeah. And these two, the guys that I picked did work together. So Fabian Nicieza, Greg Capullo, those are the ones I pick.
Good choice.
Yeah, good choices indeed. Well, I was at a tough call on mine for writer because I do like Fabian and I do like Chris Claremont, as you can tell. So I actually sided with Chris Claremont on this one and went with him just because, he's the one that really started it all with him. So I went with that. But yeah, Uncle Gary's 100% right. There are many writers on there or artists that were just amazing. And it was really hard to narrow them down. For artists, though, I went with Bob McLeod on him.
Okay.
So I mean, Bill Sienkiewicz did some good stuff. Greg Capullo did some good stuff. I didn't mind that. I know he was just starting out with that time, but it was good stuff for me. There's another one, Francisco Mobili, also did some good stuff. He did the Secret X-Men issue. So there was a lot of tough call with this, and my dog keeps coming in and out, Pick one side.
Jim Lee drew him one time when he drew that card for the X-Men collection. So, can that count?
That counts.
That was a good card. That was a good looking card too.
That was a good looking card. So that's what I have for my two. So
I agree with that. And the first Marvel graphic novel he was in, that was a really good graphic novel.
Yeah.
Artwork in that spectacular. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think this wraps it up. Unless we got any final thoughts we want to talk about Cannonball. Oh, Dan's got one.
I got a piece of trivia that I guarantee neither one of you are going to get because
that's challenge accepted for Gary.
Hulk 180.
Hulk 180.
Now this was something that was shown in X-Men 503 where he talked about how he went to the bar and he talked about how he didn't want he just didn't want anyone to die like his brother. Yeah. When he goes to the bar, he had apparently just turned 21 and he shows his ID to the bartender to prove it, and they drew it like a full driver's license, got all the info on there, including his full birthday. So it is canon as to what his birthday is in Marvel Comics. Do you know what it is? Hey, we're bringing back Do You Know?
Guess what, folks? I'll go with February 29th.
Do they have the year too?
It had the month, day, and year, and it was prominently featured. It was the whole panel was showing this card, but I was like, I gotta write this. This is
what year did that book come out?
X-Men 503. I don't remember.
X-Men 503 was 2008.
2008, because I was going to take 21 years off of that.
Came out at the end of 2008, actually.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
I'm going to go with leap year, February 29th, but I don't know the year.
I'm going to say February 13th, 1987.
You got the year right. October 17th, 1987. That's why I said, I was like, this is a fun little one. There's no chance they're going to remember that detail. But it was prominent in the issue when he shows his ID. So It's not like it was some secret thing you had to find. But that is canon.
For Cannonball.
Yeah.
Cannonball. 1987. The year I graduated high school.
87. Jeez. I had already started working at Metro the year before.
Yeah.
So that means that in I guess in real time, that means Cannonball would be what now? 36?
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. It'd be 36, 37 come October.
Well, they're not holding that. They're not going to hold that year. They may keep
no, of course not.
October, what? 17th?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Pam says that's her birthday. Well, you know what, Pam? Now you share a birthday with Cannonball.
There you go.
So when you get your birthday cake this year, you can tell Safeway that you want a Giant Cannonball. Or whatever. You could show them a picture of Cannonball and say, I want this on it.
Cannonball said he was fortunate to share a birthday with Pam.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, TJ, thanks very much.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Hope you enjoyed that.
Hope to see you this weekend, TJ. Hope to see you Saturday night, buddy.
Yeah. All right, folks. I think this wraps up our comic character of the week. As always, I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy. When I'm not here on the Codex Station, you can always catch me on Sal's Comic Corner on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner, or under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Down below me is Dan the Man Kelly. Tell them where they can find you at, buddy, and I can put that up there for you.
Yeah, like it says, check me out on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art.
There you go. And of course, to my left side or right side, which way were you looking, is the Ric Flair of comics, Gary.
All righty. Again, want to shout out Comic Logic, my comic store, one of our sponsors now, Comic Logic. And we are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please drop in and see us. We have some big events coming up. We have our 9th anniversary day on April 20th. So please come see us then. And we have our big free comic book day celebration on May the 4th. which is the first Saturday in May, like Comic Book Day always is. But this year we have that special signing with Mr. Brendan Wayne, who is the actor that in The Mandalorian, that when the helmet is on, except for the stunt work, when the helmet is on, he's doing all the acting, and he'll sign your comics, he'll sign pictures, and we would love to have you for Free Comic Book Day. And then we have our Spring Lot Con on Sunday, May 19th. So those are big events that we have there. Please come see us. The Lot Con is just a mini Comic Con in our parking lot at Comic Con.
A lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Please come see us there.
All right.
All right.
And of course, you can always find us on Comic Character of the Week, right, Gary?
Absolutely. You can find us on Comic Character of the Week, and we are on all the socials. We're on all the socials, and we are major players on Comic Character of the Week. So that's where Sal was going with that. Archduke Kevy started that site, and I do the cover of the day. Dan does a panel of the day, question of the day, and Sal's always contributing on that site to see if we're getting everything right for you. But Archduke Kevy, big love to you. And I'd start out here at the Codex Station. Please see us on all the social media sites, because we have all the socials and we enjoy giving them to you.
Absolutely. And when you're done doing that, going over to the codexstation.com and check out our site, our fabulous website. Get some merch, meet the team, see what we like, see what shows we're on, and so much more. That's the codexstation.com, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this wraps up this week's episode of Comic Character of the Week. Thank you guys for checking it out, and I hope you guys have a 9.8 day.
See ya. Blast off.